Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I feel like I just bolted to make my way here in time. I was in the middle of just like yappa, sending all of these voice notes to some of my friends a little bit earlier here today. Because sometimes you have like these moments where you're like, I've got so many things on my mind. I have to make sure I send it to you guys, because if I do not send it to you in this very moment, what's going to happen? Forget. Months will go by and you will never hear this information, and it's going to be this whole ordeal, right? Because it's stuff that people have been asking me, but I'm just like that. I have to do it when I'm in the mood. Do you guys ever get that, where you go through these moments where you're not as social as you typically are, right? And then all of a sudden you finally feel like being social again. So you go, you send messages, you do everything, contact all like the again, it's kind of a whole ordeal. So good morning, sunshines. It is so nice to have you here on today's episode. We have so much to discuss, and of course, another Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap as well. I really have been enjoying being able to talk to you guys about that show. It's been a while since I've been a consistent viewer. Season really has me hooked. They won me back, and I am loving every bit of it. So let me take a look and see who's here in the chat, you guys. Who's here? Good morning, Jaleesa, Jessica, Theo, Sweet Bonjour, Ronnie, Tadisha, Ali, Hamlet, Princess, Venetia, Kahara's here, Amy, ACSW, Lena. Wow, guys, so nice to have you. So it looks like my Wi-Fi wants to play games with me today. So beware of that. That's the thing about going lives. Anything can happen, right? Why don't we start off with the first story on our docket? We've got to talk about a Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively update. In fact, let me check my phone, because I did reach out to one of my lawyer friends here on YouTube to see if we would be able to break down Blake Lively's amended complaint. So that is Dmitry Shakhnovich of DShack Law. So it doesn't look like he will be able to come on today, but we are going to try to talk either tomorrow or the day after and break down her amended claim. So just as a question for those of you who are watching live, mic check 1 2 1 2, let me know in the live chat. Or if you're part of my playback posse, let me know in the comments section. Did you get to read Blake Lively's amended lawsuit in the Justin Baldoni claim? Because there's something that kind of jumped out to me, and that was the exhibits that she attached to her amended complaint. All this time, I thought that she was going to come out with like the HR complaint, stuff like that, right? And the sound is back. Yeah, sorry, you guys. I don't know. I accidentally pulled the cable of my mic, but I'm happy that you guys are able to hear me again. Good morning again, Teresa, Jesse, Ann. Nice to see you guys. So I did find it a little bit interesting that that was not included in the exhibits, right? So here is a screenshot of what was up there on the docket. So they had 5 different attachments, right? And so one of them was Exhibit A. Let me go ahead and make sure that I have it nice and big over here. When I put it up on the screen for you guys, it goes really tiny for me. So I'm just going to pull it up here on the back end as well. So Exhibit A was protections for return to production. And that's something that we already saw in her initial lawsuit. Exhibit B was her contract writer. Another thing that we already saw, the marketing plan. So that's something that's a little bit more interesting that I'm looking forward to getting into in a separate video. Scenario planning document. And that refers to the alleged smear campaign that she claims that Justin Baldoni and his team levied against her. And so, you know, I am really excited to get into that with you guys. So basically, from what I saw, it was a bunch of things like, okay, if Blake Lively starts doing this, we're going to respond by doing that. So far, I didn't see anything that jumped out at me there yet, but again, I haven't been able to go through that thing extensively. That is something I'm going to be doing in a separate video. And then lastly, in Exhibit E, they had a letter to the investigation, which I thought was really interesting, Investigation Council. And I want to go ahead and pull that up for you guys right now, actually, because it was dated this year, right? So all of this stuff went down with, or allegedly happened in 2023. So I thought it was really interesting that it wasn't until like January of this year, AKA a couple weeks ago, that her team was writing to them about this HR investigation and whatnot. And so it answers the question of, okay, well, was there an HR investigation? What happened? This type of stuff, kind of, right? Because we see them responding to something, but we don't get to see the thing that they're responding to. So it kind of feels like something is missing from all of this, okay? So here it is. I've pulled it up, Exhibit E, and it reads as following. And again, this was from January 31st of 2025, AKA not even a month ago. Read Blake Lively, ADV Wayfair Studios LLC. Okay. On behalf of our client, Blake Lively, I write to respond to your letter of January 31st, 2025. Well, why wasn't the letter included? Or is that going to be something that like comes later on? If so, why not now? Right. These are the questions I'm going to be asking to Dmitry Shaknovich of DSHAC Law in a later video. And to follow up on our conversation of February 12, 2025, in your letter, you state that Wayfair Studios has retained your firm to, quote, conduct a neutral third-party investigation of Blake Lively's complaint for sexual harassment, retaliation, failure to investigate, prevent, and or remedy harassment, and aiding and abetting harassment. You asked to interview Ms. Lively to fulfill Wayfair's legal mandate to investigate, right? So all of this was written just very recently, the last day of January. And so they talk about all of the things that they're displeased with, right? But we don't get to see what they're responding to. They're saying this is in response to a letter you guys sent. But where is the letter that the people sent that we can see as part of this exhibit, right? And where is a copy of this HR complaint? I'm not saying that I don't believe anything about what she's saying or whatever. I'm just saying it feels like there's a lot missing here because the amended complaint goes back to a lot of hearsay again, right? So I was expecting a little bit more, but maybe there's something like some sort of legal strategy behind why she hasn't put that sort of information up yet. I'm not sure, but Dmitry Shaknovich is going to be sharing that sort of information with us, okay? So don't forget. Good morning, Cynthia, Monique, and I cannot watch quietly. It is so nice to have y'all here again. Hello, hello. Hope you guys are having a great day. Right, Ali, the fact that this letter that they're including as an exhibit was only written on January 31st of this year, it doesn't make sense. Why are we talking about this now? All of a sudden, in January 31st of 2025, when all of this stuff went down in 2023, there were no pieces of evidence to collect between 2023 and 2025. I don't know. I don't think that this is a good look so far, but listen, this is just the beginning of the situation. Plenty more where that came from, right? Good morning to you too, AJ. Nice to see you. Now, speaking of legal issues, ASAP Rocky is officially cleared of his criminal charges. He was found not guilty, which was actually rather surprising to me considering the video evidence that they had. And the first thing that ASAP Rocky did when he was declared not guilty was run and jump and leap into the arms of his baby mama, Rihanna, who you can see in the bottom right corner there. No one held him back, but when he was in there hugging her, they said, no, you can't do that. You can't jump into the gallery. Come back, come back, come back. So that was a big moment. Congratulations to him on being found not guilty. And I do hope that he stays out of trouble for the sake of his children moving forward. I see that Theo had a comment about the Blake Lively situation saying Blake Lively's team has not done a good job with this case, in my opinion. I agree. I don't know. You know, I I'm really trying to not be biased towards one side or the other. I'm really trying to just stay neutral, see what's being said, and then come to a conclusion from there. And in doing so, in line with that, I look at the Reddit pages for people who are hardcore Team Justin and people who are hardcore Team Blake. And it is so fascinating how both, like, they all completely like interpret these things in ways that are like opposite of each other. So the amended complaint that Blake put out there, right? Justin's team is like, oh my God, this is a joke. She's got no case. It's this, it's that. Like, wow, she should be embarrassed. Blake's team is like, wow, like she really got him this time. Like he's done, he's cooked. He better start selling his kidneys for those, for you know, for the money she's going to sue him for. And we're all reading the same thing, right? Meanwhile, I'm still there like, I'm confused. Where are we at now? Like, what do we do? It's crazy. It really is. Now, Tadisha says that she is surprised at the verdict as well. And I agree with Chip Cheerio that it looks as though Rihanna might have cut a big check in order to keep her baby daddy there off the, off the cell. Which, you know what? I believe that she funded this legal team. A$AP Rocky, he's got money, but like this is a really extremely strong legal team that I don't think he would have been able to afford on his own without the help of Rihanna. Okay, you guys. So congratulations to Rihanna. Your baby daddy is not going to jail. And you know what? How long until they announce the third child? Maybe this one will be a girl. The heiress to Fenty Beauty coming up. I don't know. I'm sure they were celebrating. You know what? They might make a Scorpio, because if you're over here bumping and grinding this month, you most likely are going to create a Scorpio. Just saying. We might see a little Scorpio girl running around very soon. Ali also says it's hard to take her seriously because they keep making jokes about the situation. Right? Yeah, like the SNL thing. On one hand, I'm like, okay, it's good for them going out there, staying visible, saying, you're not going to like, shame me out of this. I am a victim. I don't need to be ashamed of anything. But on the other hand, like maybe just show up and not crack that kind of joke. I don't know. It's tough. And I'm with you, Ronnie. I'm trying to stay neutral, but in staying neutral, it's been really interesting to observe like people who are so extreme one way or the other. East Awesome says Rocky better lay low after this one Hail Mary. A$AP Rihanna hired Trump's former lawyer. Exactly. You know what? He truly is lucky, because to me, this looked like an open and shut case. I thought it was crazy that he turned down the plea deal. His alleged victim survived and was pointing to him in the courtroom, saying all sorts of things to corroborate that this happened. So it's just, I don't get it. I wonder what kind of technicality he actually wound up getting off on. Luz says, I know what he did was stupid, but he still needed accountability. I'm tired of celebs getting away with anything. I agree. Listen, I really did think he was going to get some sort of time for what he allegedly did there on that video when you see him in black and white pulling out a gun on somebody, right? Good morning to you too, Houston Rose. Hope you're doing well. We missed you yesterday. We were talking about you on your YouTube channel. I hope you're having a great time making these beautiful bouquets and whatnot. AJ says, Riri definitely paid for this case. Since she's supporting a colorist, I don't support Fenty anymore. I wouldn't want my dark skin dollars going to A$AP. Oh, wait. And you know what? I think a lot of people feel the same way that you feel too, AJ. Like, I love Rihanna so much. I really do. But I'm disappointed that this is who she chose to align herself with and who she chose to have children with. Like A$AP, he seems to be very anti-Black and very colorist. So it does also cloud my own opinion and my own view of Rihanna as well. And this is not her first time having these sorts of like issues, right, surrounding cultural sensitivity or whatever. Remember when she and Karrueche were fighting over Fist Brown, she was using kind of racially charged language to throw shade at Karrueche Tran, right? Karrueche, she is half Black, half Vietnamese. And so Rihanna would call her like rice cakes and stuff like that, which, was a little racist, Riri. East Awesome, any updates on immigration? I need to write a letter to a senator or something else. I thought of you. Oh, well, East Awesome, you know what? The appeal is still happening. And at the same time, I don't know if you were here yesterday, but I was talking about how I had a meeting with a Spanish lawyer about the possibility of getting a startup visa in Spain. So both things are happening in tandem and we're praying. Thank you so much for asking. And it's nice to have you here, Nadia. Good morning. Good morning. Guys, once again, good morning. Thank y'all so much for joining me here on the morning report. We've got a lot to dig into today, okay? So we just talked about ASAP Rocky getting off in his huge, groundbreaking federal criminal case. Blake Lively filing her amended lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, but neglecting to include any sort of HR documents in her amended complaint. And we still have more to come, including Cassie announcing a pregnancy. She's currently pregnant with her third child. We've also got to talk about Benny Blanco. He is scared that his girl, Selena Gomez, might wake up one day and leave him behind. And we've also got to talk about what went down on last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you're enjoying the morning report so far, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube knows you enjoy my content. Now, real quick, before we get into the next story, which is the Benny Blanco and the Selena story, Ali, I have a bone to pick with you, girl. You know, I remember I saw a comment from you yesterday. And again, guys, sometimes you guys' comments come up too quickly. And so like, I'll see them and I'll put them on the screen, but I won't be able to like process it. But Ali yesterday, because I was saying that I didn't understand what Apple TV or Fire Stick or whatever was, no matter how many times people try to explain them to me, she goes, oh, like, you know, it's okay. That reminds me of when I used to teach old people about technology. I said, oh. And it's so funny because that's what I did too when I first moved to France. I used to like volunteer teaching old people how to use technology when the pandemic shut them out of like the world, right? Because everything had to be handled online. These people didn't even know how to turn on phones, computers, things like that. So when she said that, I said, damn, girl. Oh, that made me laugh so hard. Ali says, Benny Blanco would be cute if you showered and hit the gym. You know what? Let me just take a sip of my water and put up the picture, y'all. Because one thing about Benny Blanco is it's not even just like him physically, all right? It's also like the things that he says. I don't know if you guys have done a deep dive into some of like the really disgusting things that he's said. Not even just hateful things, because there are a lot of things like that, but just like nasty, like things about hygiene, things about like weird jokes that he finds funny that are like everything about him to me. And I'm sorry, Selena, I'm sorry, girl, but everything about him is just like, it makes me like this, you know, like, oh, like, oh, anyway, let's talk about his fears of Selena Gomez waking up one day and deciding to leave him. Okay. So they did an interview together with Billboard magazine in order to talk about the joint album that they've got coming out. And by the way, their joint album is called I Said I Loved You First. And I'm wondering if that's something that you guys are looking forward to. So I know that Benny Blanco is like a songwriter. I know he's a producer. So is he going to have any vocals on the album? Like, what do they mean joint album like that? You know, and the way that they're promoting, it makes me feel like he's going to be singing on it. You know what was a really good joint album, by the way? Toni Braxton and Babyface, Love, Sex, Marriage, Divorce. It's either Sex, Marriage, Divorce or Love, Marriage, and Divorce. Incredible album, front to back, no skips, right? So that's the vibe I'm getting from this, but I feel like he's just going to be a songwriter or a producer or whatever on the album, right? And so they're talking about it. They're promoting it and everything. And he's saying, and I quote, I worship the ground she walks on, and I feel like she's the same way to me. There's no ego between us. She's praying for me to win, and I'm praying for her to win. And I wake up in the morning, I know she does the same thing, and I'm like, how can I make her life better? Holding her isn't close enough. I want to be inside of her whole body. I just feel a thing for her that I can't even explain. I'm so sappy. I just smile all day, and I'm so scared she's just going to wake up and be like, what? No. And so Selena Gomez tries to reassure him by saying that he's stuck with her. And I don't know, y'all. Listen, sometimes I get in trouble with my mouth. So I'm not going to say anything about this. I don't get it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't get it. What do you guys think about the relationship? When they announced the engagement, I was like, oh. And then, you know, sometimes when you see these kinds of like couples, you go, oh, I wonder what like their parents think or their family think or something like that. Because I'll tell you something. I once dated a guy who was like not cute, right? And the way my mom was like, Grace. So it always makes me wonder, and I used to wonder that too. When I first heard that Beyonce and Jay-Z were dating, I was like, wow, I wonder what her like parents thought about that, okay. Good morning, Trey. Nice to see you. Theo's already laughing at me. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Good luck to them on this engagement. But Benny just doesn't seem to me like, I know he worships Selena, and a lot of people love that, right? But I feel like the core of him is not good. I don't think I don't know. You guys have to do a deep dive. Like a lot of people have exposed him, and I don't want to like get overly into like the things that have come out, but it's not good, And so just outside of like the physical, it's kind of like, okay, even his personality is a little kind of like rotten. So I don't get it. Like I just feel so weird about this couple. I really, really do. Right. Ali says that's what Selena Gomez should be crying on the internet about. Do you think he's going to be the one to up and leave her one day, Ali? Oh, Kambule says, I think Selena, I love Selena, and she's been through a lot, and she has been through a lot, and I agree with Ronnie that she could do better. I'm sorry. She could do better. She could do better. Mm-hmm. She really can. And thank you, J.I. The album was called Love, Marriage, and Divorce, and it was so damn good. Lord. Good luck to this couple. Let me go ahead and put that picture up again. Sorry to those of you who are fans of them, but I don't know. Every time I see pictures of the two of them together, I'm like, oh my God. All right. All right. Whatever makes you happy, girl. Whatever makes you happy. Anyway, let's get into our next story before I get too messy, okay? Cassie has just announced that she is pregnant with her third baby. Shout out to her. You guys know that she went through a lot, right? She was victimized by Diddy. She filed a lawsuit against him for damages. He settled with her within about less than 24 hours, even actually. And it led to all of the legal drama that you see Diddy currently embroiled in today. So thank you forever to Cassie for helping to bring justice, right? Not just for yourself, but to other people who were supposedly or allegedly victimized by P. Diddy as well. I'm happy that she's still there, thriving, loving, looking so happy with her family, expecting a third child. And he is exactly where he should be, which is in prison. And I'm hoping that that prison stint is a lifelong stint at that point. And I just, I couldn't be any more thrilled for Cassie, honestly. Just the trauma that she has from all of that is insane, right? Ali says she deserves all the happiness, and I wholeheartedly agree. Okay. Love Cassie. And I really hope that she actually goes ahead and puts out some more music. Like she never really got to put out music because that was one of Diddy's power moves, right? It was him holding her career hostage in exchange for things that he wanted out of her, whatnot, right? Like trying to force her into, the trafficking, the this, the that, sleeping with, hired ex-workers and whatnot. And it's just all so damn disturbing. And so I would just love like a good dance album from Cassie, maybe a ballad. I don't know, whatever she wants to put out, I am ready to support because I really, really, truly do like her. And I do think that she seems to be a really, really lovely person. Tadisha says, I'm so happy that Cassie was able to get away from Diddy and to thrive with Alex and create their beautiful family. One thing I'll never forget about her husband, Alex, speaking of Tadisha and everybody else watching, is the ultra marathon that he ran for her. Didn't he run and how many kilometers are an ultra marathon? Is that not like 80 kilometers or something like that? He did something like that. So brutal, so grueling for the love of Cassie. He rescued Cassie from that hell, that nightmare that she was stuck in with Diddy. And so I just think that it is absolutely beautiful. And this is a love, a marriage, a relationship I hope stands the test of time. Please, Lord, never let Cassie feel another ounce of pain again in life. She's had more than enough. Kel says Cassie doesn't need to return to the music. She does. I love her song, Me and You. And you know what? There's another Cassie song that I have on repeat still to this day. Love a Loser. I'd rather lose a lover than to love a loser. That is what are you talking about, Cal? She's a good singer. Oh my God. Yo says, I love the vibe Cassie was going for with King of Hearts. I love dance music. Cal, it is 2 against 1. That settles it. Cassie shall continue to put out some damn music. Now, you guys, we've got to talk about last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It was not all that eventful, yet super eventful at the same time, because something that's really unusual for it was that they never really got out of people's houses, right? It started off in Bose's home, and then the rest of it played out in Dorit's home, and that was about it, which I thought was like a first for RHOBH especially, right? And despite the fact that we were just at home this episode, I felt like we learned an awful lot. I thought it was a very deep and a very profound episode, especially with the way that it ended in Dorit and Kyle kind of sort of working on mending their relationship, their friendship, both of them putting down their swords, and thank God for that, okay? By the way, I am loving the makeup they have. They look so glossy in a good way. Look at Dorit's cheek highlighter. Look at Kyle's whole face. Like, I love this kind of dewy sort of makeup look. It's just so beautiful to me. It really, really is. So we're going to get into that. But while we wait for that, you know what I have to do, y'all? I have to fill up my cup of water. This is just water. There's no vodka in it. It's just water. But my throat is getting hoarse. So I have to fill up my water, and I'll be right back. And I have a caffeine update for you guys as well, okay? Now, in the meantime, we do have a word from some of our sponsors. Check it out, and I'll catch you on the flip
The Morning
side.
Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than RHOBH. RHOBH is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today.
Wow, I'm seeing some more votes come through in the case of Cassie Ventura's music career. Kel, you might have an ally in Joy, who says, I agree. She doesn't need to be in the music industry. LOL, stay far away. But you know what? Is that about the singing, or is it about how traumatizing the music industry can be? And thank you, Joy. Guess where I got my nails done? Spoiler alert, nowhere. They are press-on nails, but I have like a salon grade UV nail lamp, and I put them on. And then I put like the whole gel coat and stuff like that, so they stick for like the 2 weeks or whatever. I actually got them on Shein. I used to get them on Amazon, and then I got them on Shein. And I was like, wow, like that's kind of dope. So thank you so much. Ronnie loved the music. Okay, look, you guys are kind of split. But in the meantime, let's get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And per usual, if you're enjoying the stream, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content. So first of things first, okay, when it comes to RHOBH, I'm really, really glad that Sutton got to hear her mom tell her that she loves her. By this episode, now Miss Reba's been with us for 3 episodes, and it really feels as though like it's a certain dry sense of humor that like maybe we weren't catching on to at first, but like you could tell that she kind of gets off on like, is she serious? Isn't she serious? Sort of a thing. And so I'm starting to understand her a bit more. I still do think she's incredibly cold, right? And kind of dismissive of her daughter and her relationship with her daughter and everything like that. But I get her humor at the same time. Kangule thinks that Mauricio is hiding money from her in Switzerland, which actually is something that I wanted to bring up with you guys, and I'm going to get to that when we start talking about like the end where she and Dorit sit down with one another. But I started to wonder, is Mauricio kind of leading her on because it's cheaper to keep her? Things to think about. Okay, you guys? And so Ali liked Dorit putting Kyle in her place. Meanwhile, Theo just cannot stand either one of them. And I just love getting you guys' opinions in real time. But let's start backing it up to the very beginning of the episode, right? So we know that Miss Reba, she started to say that she loves Sutton. So even though she told Garcelle it wasn't any of her business, it sounded like she at the very least took some of her advice, which is, what more than what we could ask for, right? And then Bose, she talks about still wanting to potentially have a baby with Keely. Again, Bose is like 47 years old. Keely's in his 50s. He doesn't have any kids. They're not their relationship doesn't seem all that strong or stable or anything like that, because at this point they still haven't even exchanged I love yous or anything like that. And that's why I kind of felt like, okay, then why are you talking like seriously about getting, pregnant by this man, going through IVF with this man or anything like that, right? Especially when she goes into this like story about her past traumas with pregnancy. And I was just so heartbroken for her when she shared about how prior to giving birth to her daughter Layal, she was pregnant with another daughter who was named Eve. And at about 4 or 5 months along, she developed preeclampsia, you guys, right? And then it just got so bad, she was forced to deliver early. And unfortunately, her daughter Eve didn't make it. So she already had that trauma, and it heavily, heavily, heavily impacted the pregnancy that she had with Leia, right? And again, beautiful daughter, smart daughter, like she's going to be going off to university and everything like that. Like you think that Bose is done and ready to live her best life and everything like that. And so I worry that she's going to reopen that huge wound for a man who can't even tell her that he loves her, and to me, I don't like, it's giving low self-esteem, I don't get it. It feels like a lot to go through for a man who, is he even serious about wanting kids? Again, I'm sorry, but like, to me, like a man who made it all the way to his 50s without having kids, claiming that he's always wanted to have kids, I think there's like avoidance issues at play or something else. I just do not think that it's a serious person about that, to be honest with you guys. And this is something we talked about in past episodes and whatnot, how there are so many eligible women, right? I think it's a lot easier, right? And it's easier for men to opt out of, fatherhood and stuff like that. So I feel like if a man really wants to be a father, right, or to have a kid, not necessarily be a father, he will have a kid, or he would have had a kid by now, and so I don't know, you guys, I don't know, like this relationship makes me scared for Bose. I don't want to see her traumatize herself like that just to end up in like a Mark and Kenya situation, you know what I mean? Good luck to her. I do like her, I really, really do, but I'm just not getting a good feeling about this. That I love you was like pulling teeth. It really was. But you know what? I get her. Like, she comes from a different generation. She's not used to it from her parents, because you know what? I'll give you guys an example. For me, culturally speaking, right? I'm born in Kenya. My parents are born in Kenya, blah, blah, right? And so over there, people are not very affectionate. You don't say I love yous. You don't really hug like that. Like, it's funny because, someone was asking me the other day, like, oh, like, do you and your parents hug? I was like, you know what? That's a good question. I think, like with my mom, like we didn't used to when I lived in Canada or anything, or maybe we did. Well, yeah, we started like, when I moved out, and like now, like with me living abroad, yeah. But like, it's still not a very affectionate kind of relationship with my dad. I think we probably hugged like twice in my entire life, and I'm pushing 32 here. So I get like the kind of like cold sort of like upbringing and stuff like that, right? And we certainly do not, exchange I love yous with either parent. But I feel like you still know, right? Like it's like a certain kind of like culture or whatever, where it's people's actions, like they do so much for you, you do so much for them. And these are the things that say I love you versus just, words. So I get why in some respects, RHOBH thinks that these are just empty platitudes, because they can be, right? There can be people who tell you they love you and then they treat you like garbage, right? Or whatever. So I get it. But here's the thing about RHOBH. She doesn't tell you that she loves you, and she treats you like garbage. So this says, I thought RHOBH was funnier than some people gave her credit for. She's a little bit harsh though. Exactly. Like she's got that little humor to her. She would be better off with a sperm donor. I completely agree. But at the same time, why? Why start over? Why? You're 47 years old. Your daughter, you did a good job with her. She's done. Like, you know what I feel like? I feel like at this point, right? If you really want to have a kid or this or that, and you're high risk, first of all, right? Due to age, and then already having prior complications with pregnancies, it seems a little bit insane to want to do this at this point. It really does to me, So I kind of feel like if you want to fulfill a mothering role, why not foster? Why not adopt? Why not mentor? Like, she's a famous marketing guru. Why don't you go find opportunities to mentor girls into, this career path or something like that? But I don't know, big brother, big sister programs, something. See, Theo, I'm the same way, I think it just comes down to like a cultural thing. So to me, RHOBH not telling Sutton that she loves her wasn't a big deal. It was more so like her kind of like weird attitude and rudeness towards Sutton that was kind of like, alarming to me. Hi, Maria. Hi, Grace. I'm late for the morning report. What I missed, Maria, what did we talk about? We talked about Justin Blake Lively's amended complaint in her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, ASAP Rocky, not guilty. Cassie is pregnant with baby number 3. Benny Blanco is scared of Selena Gomez waking up one day and leaving him. And now we're at a recap of last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And Joy is Kenyan too. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Nice to see a fellow Kenyan here. Super dope. Now, and it's so interesting to read you guys' own like relationships with your parents and whatnot. Do you guys come from like a very like warm, like touchy-feely, I love you sort of a family? Because I have a friend here, she's actually from Spain, she's from Granada, and she has this kind of relationship with her parents, right, where like they're always huggy, always love you, like, and that to me, like if my parents started that all of a sudden, like I'd be like, whoa. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just I'm not used to it because my relationship with my parents is completely different, Summer Breeze, hey girl, good morning. I'm having a great day now that I'm here with you guys, and I'm hoping you're having a great day too. Nice to see you. It is nice to see you free as well. And Petty LaBelle, right? And I agree. I think that's what Bose is kind of missing, right? Like maybe go do something for like kids that are struggling. There are so many kids who were unfortunately born to irresponsible parents and who are going to have to struggle just to live like a normal life, not even an exceptional life, but a normal life. Like, why not get into that? It's kind of similar to me with dogs, right? I love dogs, but right now I just do not feel settled enough to have a dog of my own. So what have I always done? I've always been into like fostering dogs or like, watching dogs for my friends or pet sitting, just like anything to have dogs around me. You know what I mean? Because I love them. So I feel like that's where Bose kind of could be. You know what I mean? But I digress. Ooh, some 11. Have me a blast. Nice to see you here. And see, Miss T has an African father. She understands completely. Hugs are not the way. Exactly. But it doesn't mean that they don't love you or anything like that. It just means it's just culturally different, right? And so, guys, how funny was it when Sutton pulls up to Dorit's house for her red, white, and blue American party, and she finds herself standing around waiting alone for like 40 minutes before Dorit eventually comes down. But I feel like she had to have known that like people would be late, right? Because this group is always late. And you know what? My friend group is the same. And I've talked about this. And you guys said my friends are like mean or blah, blah, blah. But no, it's just the way it is, Like if someone tells you to be here at like 7, even myself, when I tell people to be here at 7, it's because I'm expecting them to come at 8. You know what I mean? Because if I told them 8, they'd come at 9. It's always 1 hour thing, right? Because no one wants to be like the first or just like, standing around awkward. And I'm the same way, like, with birthday parties and stuff, I'll always show up exactly 1 hour on the dot late. So for Sutton to pop up like on the dot, when Dorit's real friends and family pop up, like the poor thing. And it was weird that Dorit went upstairs to like get changed and people were already at her house and stuff. And she had no sense of urgency. Like, yeah, I found that to be extremely odd about her. And so eventually Kyle comes over and Dorit is stuck with the 2 girls that she like is beefing with the most at this moment, which I'm sure was a producer sort of like meddled sort of thing. I think that the producers forced Sutton and Kyle to be the first to show up for some sort of a confrontation, right? And of course it got worse when Garcelle came, another person that Dorit doesn't really care for. So what do you guys think about the way they dressed for red, white, and blue, right? I see that Sutton had her white dress, red sneaks, and blue Kelly bag. By the way, can I say something? You know who Sutton like reminds me of, especially when she wears like the sneakers with like a dress like this? Her sense of style kind of reminds me of Wendy Williams. And y'all can take that however you want, but there's just something about her outfit like in this episode that was giving Wendy Williams to me. And I'm like, girl. Anyway, Kyle tried, but there wasn't any white on her unless she was counting her teeth. And Dorit's look, I didn't feel like it was very red, white, and blue either, but I digress. It was a beautiful, beautiful party, catered, open bar, all sorts of things. They had like the giant slide and everything. Like it looked like a fantastic time. She did a great job with it. And then there was like this weird moment where Dorit is kind of joking, but probably not joking. You see that blue purse she's holding? That's Sutton's bag. And so she takes it from Sutton. She says, "You owe me this bag." And Sutton's like, "No, I don't." She's like, "Yeah, I do." And then she tells us in the confessional it's because Sutton cut her off when she was talking about like her kids asking if she and PK are divorced. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Like, I kind of get the vibe that, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys though, but like sometimes you can be so stressed that your brain is just acting in really, really strange ways. I feel like this was an instance of that. And we had this happen to somebody in a company that I used to work for. So a company I used to work for, it was an American-based company, but they had an office in Canada where I worked. And there was someone who worked there and he was so nice. He was one of my favorite, international colleagues. And he was always just good and stuff. And then one day, he lives like in a multi-generational kind of home, right? And so he's got his wife he's taking care of, he's got his kids he's taking care of, but he's also taking care of like his father. And then his father started getting sick, and it's expensive to get sick, right, in the US. And so he started like asking for raises and more this or that. Like he was like crumbling under the medical debt, and he was like, I think the sole breadwinner or the majority breadwinner of the family. And it was a lot. And it led to him acting in ways that were so, unfortunately, like so bizarre that they became threatening, apparently, is what I'm hearing from people who were in the office. And he just one day kind of like they let him go. And they had hired people like security to come and make sure that everything was okay when they let him go, And so that's not the way he is normally, right? Like obviously he was crumbling under a lot of stress. And so I don't know why. I don't know if that stuck out to you guys as well, but I feel like the stress of it all is just getting to Dorit. And you see that she has lost a lot of weight, and Dorit didn't even have any weight to lose already, right? She's always been a really, really thin girl. And so now she's like downright frail, right? So I was concerned for her when I saw that scene. I said, "Oh my God, Dorit, like I really, really do hope that you are okay, because yeah, it's not looking good." And by the way, I recapped that. I used to recap that on the morning report. It was so good. The Obamas have done a great job producing on Netflix. I just watched their other project, Leave the World Behind. Chef's kiss. Jalisa, how did you know that? That means that you thought the same thing. Like, it's like Wendy always wears like these dresses, but with her sneakers, right? Because she's got lymphedema and whatnot, right? So they're the most comfortable for her. And so it just reminded me of that. And yes, Miss T, the food looked good. Like that was a good catered party. Like it was giving wealth and stuff, And even though we know there is no wealth over there, but it was giving wealth, right? Like really, really good stuff. Right? So, bonjour. My family isn't huggy. My mom is, my dad isn't, but it doesn't make me feel odd. I know he loves me. Exactly. Dorit snatching that purse was a violent gesture, in my opinion. Let me go ahead and pull it back up. She was instigating Sutton, and unfortunately, Sutton took the bait. Yeah, that's what it was. She kept on poking and prodding at Sutton this entire episode, and then she acted like she was the victim when Sutton had enough. And I just, ugh. And of course, there was Bose, right? Taking up for her. Everything Dorit says is right, blah, blah. Like, it was just too much. Her demanding everybody come in. It kind of felt like, listen, girl, you just got here. You don't know the dynamics. You don't know what happened to cause Sutton to be here at the front. But one thing I will say, though, is what took Sutton so damn long to leave? She said she's leaving. And so they filmed this whole scene in the front that she says it again. It's like, girl, go, hitchhike something. What are you still doing here? You said you were leaving, right? And so now we get the blossoming of a feud between Kyle and Bose, which I'm actually really, really excited about, because Bose has been saying, "Oh, Kyle, she's cold. Kyle isn't letting me in." But then they show flashbacks to Kyle always being really nice to her. Kyle sending her flowers when she had her operation, visiting her after her operation, talking about her separation, opening up about. So it's like, what are you talking about? It kind of feels like Dorit has gotten into Bose's mind and poisoned her against Kyle. And I hate that for Bose, because what happens, right? Now, as you see play out at the end of this episode, Kyle and Dorit are going to work on their relationship. And now, Bose, you're going to have a feud with Kyle. Meanwhile, your boss, Dorit, is going to be okay with Kyle. And you're going to be there like, now, why did I do this? Right? Don't you ever see those things play out in real life? I've seen this happen in my own friend group, right? Where one person doesn't like another person and someone else jumps in like, oh yeah, like, let me get in the middle of this. Like, if you don't like him, I don't like him, and then what happens? Those two become friends and the other two are still in the outs for no reason. So I don't believe in that sort of thing unless someone seriously screws the other person over. And I don't think that was really the case here between Kyle and Dorit. I think they're both going through really difficult, shocking, traumatic times in their lives at the same time. And I always hated that they weren't able to support each other through this. So when we saw them like really sit down and talk about it, I was so happy. I said, yes, this is how it should have been from the beginning. Like, this was really the moment for them to really lean on their friendships and help each other out the way that Kyle and Teddi Mellencamp have, right? Teddi even moved into Kyle's home. Like, it was like, and Teddi's going through a divorce as well. Like, imagine if Dorit moved into that home too. It could have been like this whole thing. Do y'all see those TikTok pages run by like these like old retirement houses, like retirement house and stuff? Like, imagine they were doing the TikToks and stuff. Like, I'm not saying the retirement age, of course not, but all of them just together, like content house, hype house, sort of a thing. It would have been so damn cool. A podcast together, something, I hate that they got to this ugly place, but I'm glad that they are starting to rectify things. Okay. So when they talk about their respective separations, Dorit is constantly asking Kyle if she wants to get divorced, and Kyle, it doesn't seem like she wants to leave Mauricio, but it also doesn't seem like she wants to jump back into being like, lovey-dovey married with him. I think she's with that woman, Morgan Wade, because when we saw Teddi Mellencamp in the hospital, hooked up for her brain tumors, she showed us Kyle coming into the hospital room, and Kyle brought her date, who happened to be Morgan Wade, right? So I think that she's still deep into that relationship, but that she doesn't want Mauricio to be into another relationship. It's kind of those things, So she's not sure. And then Dorit, you could tell she still wants to be with PK. Like, she truly, truly loves him. And they weren't actually married all that long, you guys. I thought they had already been married for like a decade before they got on the show, but no, they were newlyweds. That was like their first year of marriage. So it's still a relatively new marriage. It's kind of like Ashley and like the creep from Real Housewives of Potomac, how they were newlyweds on the show, like that sort of a thing, right? And it kind of felt like, based off of what Kyle was saying, Mauricio was just pacifying her and like drawing things out, giving her false hope that they can be back together. But I think he's over her at this point. He just doesn't want to divorce, because when you divorce, you have to officially split assets, right? But when you're separated, it's kind of like, okay, like, just we continue spending the way that we've always spent and like just sharing, you know what I mean? That's the vibe I got, but maybe you guys got something else, from that. Theo says, hang on, let me go back. And Summer Breeze, I'm so sorry about the loss of your stepdad. That was devastating. I haven't spoken to anyone in my real family in 20 years, but sometimes you need to cut off the toxicity. Exactly. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It's sad when things come to that place or point, but like, if it protects you and it makes you feel better, go for it. And again, I'm so sorry for the loss of your stepdad. And I agree with Miss T as well. Like, them running after her, like, stop. Sutton is a drama queen. It reminded me of when she brought all those $1 bills because she wanted like the male gigolos to dance on her in Vegas, and then like none of them chose her, and she ran off crying like, wow, this is such a trashy event, how could you guys do this? Meanwhile, she's like puts away her ones that she brought and stuff. Like, that's what it reminded me of. Yes, says Bozoma being against Kyle, even if she makes up with Dorit, is fine by me. Kyle deserves it with all her years of manipulating this cast. Listen, me too. I'm loving Kyle getting to sweat this season. She never really gets to sweat, and it has been great. Dorit talks too much, so that would have been a long podcast. And I agree. But listen, in post-editing, they would have had to trim it out. It's just something about them all being roommates would have been so cool to me. It's kind of like Ultimate Girls Trip, without like all of the heavy production and whatnot. Good question, Miss D. Good question. It was she orders a lot from Farfetch, is what I got from the boxes that she has. There you go. Ashley and the Creepy Dundee. Oh Lord, I don't know how she got with that guy of all guys. She always could have done better. My parents have been separated 7 years and still no divorce. What a mess. What, Julissa, are you rich? Is that why they're separated and not divorcing? Because listen, I feel like these kinds of like long drawn out, either someone is holding out hope or there's a lot of money at play and they don't want to officially, separate it just yet, or maybe they share a business. Your parents share a business or something like that. Shem, it is so nice to see you here. Listen, don't worry, girl. It is never too late. We are so happy to have you here. So yeah, I get the vibe that Mauricio was pacifying her. And then Dorit was asking like, hey, like, what do you think he's up to? Like, do you think he's dating other people? Kyle says she doesn't know. And at first when I was watching it, I was like, Kyle, how could you not know? The photos are all out there. But I forgot, oh yeah, this could have been filmed before the photos got out there. But I could have sworn it was always an open secret that this guy had girlfriends. And that was a big reason why she was finally sick of him, right? And then for her side, Dorit doesn't know what PK is doing either. He could have a girlfriend for all she knows. And I gotta say, again, I really, really, truly felt for these girls. Like, these girls truly love their husbands, right? And in Kyle's case, her husband is as successful as he is because of her and her family. Like, he was working for Rick Hilton, you guys, Kathy Hilton's husband, because he is Kyle's husband. Kyle is the one that said that they should get their real estate licenses and get into real estate. He wouldn't have done all of this without her. So to build a guy up from there where they were both broke and he runs off and does this to you, like, ouch, right? Or he cheats on you allegedly cheats on you throughout the marriage, right? Like, that would hurt my heart forever. And then in Dorit's case, she stands by this guy with all of his like bankruptcies, lawsuits, scheming, scamming, alleged scheming, scamming, all sorts of things, just to be tossed to the side. And again, I really want to know what truly went down between PK and Dorit, because it's not like a Kyle and Mauricio. Kyle and Mauricio, there's still that complicité. There's still like a sense of like, kindness, like fondness there. But Dorit and PK, hatred. And why? How? Because again, Dorit always seemed to worship the ground that man walked on. But, we did find out that apparently behind the scenes, they talked to each other like garbage. And so I wonder what she said that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Why is it that his sobriety has turned him so viciously against her? Do y'all think he's going to show up to the reunion and spill the tea? I wonder. Okay, Jaleesa. Maybe they're secretly rich and they're just not telling you, girl. Or maybe someone is still in love. I don't know. Or maybe they're just too lazy to get the paperwork done. I don't know. But I hope, you know what, the most important thing is if you guys are all okay with the situation as a family. Cammie says, I missed this earlier. I just woke up. Well, good morning, girl. We are about to roll out, though. I'm so sad. But listen, you could join our playback posse by rewinding the stream. Hey, J.I. Well, Camille, psychic friend, wasn't lying about Kyle and Mauricio. Exactly. It seemed like raising kids and being too busy with that to notice a lack of chemistry between them. Is what kept them going for so long. But, it still sucks. 28 years. And Kyle before that was married to another man. Like, when she said she had been married her entire adult life, I was like, damn, like, that's so like, wow. It's so shocking to imagine, right? Because, I love independence. I've loved living on my own. I've loved just everything that comes with like, having my own adult life, before getting into a serious relationship, having kids, all this sort of thing. And I feel like everybody should get to live this at least once, you know what I mean? And so it sucks that this is happening for her like now at this point. But this is a good opportunity for her to reinvent herself and to like, enjoy what she could have enjoyed, younger if her life turned out a different way. Because don't forget, she was a teen mom with her daughter, Farrah, too. Again, you guys, like, I really loved Buying Beverly Hills over on Netflix. And I'm so sad that it got canceled after only 2 seasons. I was so curious to know what was going to happen with Farrah after her broken engagement. So now you've got Farrah with her broken engagement, her mom with her separation, and then you've got her other daughter. I think her name is it Alexia? It's Alexia, right? Who's engaged right now. She was like the star of Buying Beverly Hills. Like all of that happening at the same time would have been so cool to watch play out on that show, because that show talks about the family dynamics, like, a lot more than the Real Housewives. Oh, I would have been all in, and you know it, Miss T. You know it. Summer Breeze says it only hurts a little bit, but once you realize you're okay alone, yup. And I am completely in agreement with you on that. At the end of the day, you are all you've got in this life in this world. So take really good care of your relationship with yourself. Always treat yourself. You know, I had a friend who used to ask me, why do I like to do things like alone? Like, why do I like to travel alone? Why do I like to go to the movies alone? Why do I like to go sit at the park and read a book alone? You know what? Because again, why not? Like, why should I work on, you know, relationships with everyone but myself? Like, I gotta wine and dine myself. I gotta treat myself, take myself out on dates. Like, don't forget yourself in life, right? And Jaleesa, I knew it. I knew there had to have been a business or something like that. There you go, girl. There you go. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for Monique, for another episode of the Morning Report. I've had a great time gossiping with you guys this morning. Don't forget, we go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the day's hottest stories. All of this week's episodes are already pre-programmed, so do make sure to go ahead, hit the live tab on my YouTube page and the bell on each episode that you want to tune in for so that you can come here and join us. We always have so much fun here. So thank y'all again for joining me. And I really do hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to be jumping into the comment section now. So shout out to you, Playback Posse, and you guys in the chat so that I can be able to fully read everything and respond to everything as well. Okay, you guys. So take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video or in the next episode of the Morning Report coming out tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, guys.